Hello, friends. Welcome. I'm here to help the silence and be your background noise for a while. So, are you ready to relax? Watch me play some Schedule 1 and listen to some Am I the A-hole stories? Well, then, turn off your mind, listen, and enjoy. First story. Am I the A for canceling my sister's wedding venue after she tried to kick my wife out? Hey, everyone. This has completely divided my family, and I honestly don't know if I handled it the right way anymore. For some background, I'm 31. My wife Emma is 29. We've been together for 6 years and married for 3. She's one of the calmest people I've ever met. She avoids conflict whenever possible, which is probably why this situation escalated the way it did. My younger sister Lily is 27. Growing up, she was always the favorite. My parents never admitted it, but everyone in the family knew. If she wanted something, she usually got it. She isn't a bad person, but she's used to people giving in to keep the peace. Last year, she got engaged to her fiancé, Mark. They started planning a wedding almost immediately. Now, here's where I got involved. About 5 years ago, I bought a small property with a renovated barn on it. It isn't a business. We just use it for family gatherings and birthdays. It's a beautiful place with a big field, old oak trees, and enough room for around 120 guests. When Lily saw it after the renovations, she said it was exactly where she wanted to get married. Normally, renting a venue like that would cost several $1,000s. I told her she could use it for free, completely free. The only conditions were that everyone respected the property and that she covered the costs for cleaning afterward. She hugged me and cried. For almost a year, everything seemed fine. Then the guest list drama started. Emma's younger brother uses a wheelchair after a car accident several years ago. He's a great guy, funny, easygoing, everyone likes him. Apparently, Lily complained that having a wheelchair in the wedding photos would ruin the aesthetic. I wish I were joking. Emma told me this one evening after she got off the phone with Lily. She looked embarrassed even repeating it. I immediately assumed there had to be some misunderstanding. So I called Lily. She didn't deny it. Instead, she doubled down. She said she'd spent thousands on decorations and wanted everything to look elegant. I asked what that had to do with a wheelchair. She said people would be looking at it in every family picture. I honestly couldn't believe what I was hearing. I told her she owed Emma an apology. She rolled her eyes and said I was making a big deal out of nothing. A week later, she apologized. Sort of. Her apology was basically, "I'm sorry you were offended." Emma accepted it anyway because she hates arguments. I figured we could move on. Then things somehow got worse. About 2 months before the wedding, Lily invited Emma over to help finalize seating arrangements. Emma came home unusually quiet. Eventually, she told me what happened. Lily wanted to seat Emma's entire family in a separate overflow tent because she didn't think they matched the vibe of the reception. Not because there wasn't enough space, not because they were difficult, simply because several of Emma's relatives have visible disabilities. Emma asked if she was serious. Lily apparently said she wanted the main reception area to look clean for photos. Emma left without arguing. When she told me, I was furious. I called Lily immediately. She answered like nothing was wrong. I asked if Emma had misunderstood. "No," she said. "I just think it's my wedding, and I should be allowed to decide how it looks." I asked if she actually intended to separate people because of disabilities. She sighed dramatically. "It's one evening. Why is everyone acting like I'm committing a crime?" I told her that if this was really how she felt, she couldn't use my property. She laughed. She literally laughed. "You already promised." I said I was withdrawing the offer. Silence. Then she exploded. She called me controlling. She accused Emma of manipulating me. She said I was trying to sabotage her wedding over one tiny disagreement. I reminded her that the venue belonged to me. She hung up. Within 30 minutes, my phone was blowing up. My mom called first. She said I couldn't do this because invitations had already gone out. Dad called next. He kept saying family should support family. My aunt left me a voicemail saying I was ruining the happiest day of Lily's life. Even cousins I barely speak to started messaging me. Most of them had only heard Lily's version. According to her, I suddenly decided to cancel because Emma didn't like the flower arrangements. Yes, apparently that's the story she told everyone. At first, I ignored the messages, then I started replying with screenshots. I had text messages where Lily talked about appearances. She repeatedly mentioned guests not fitting the aesthetic. She specifically referred to Emma's brother. Once people actually read the messages, the tone changed. Several relatives apologized to me. A few quietly stopped responding altogether. My parents, however, stayed on Lily's side. Mom kept saying she didn't mean it that way. Dad said weddings make people stressed. Neither of them addressed what Lily actually wrote. A week later, Mark showed up at my house. I honestly expected another argument. Instead, he looked exhausted. He apologized before I even opened the door fully. He said he'd only recently seen the messages. Apparently, Lily had been deleting conversations before showing him her phone. He admitted they'd been arguing for days. Then he told me something I wasn't expecting. He said Lily had also wanted one of his cousins excluded because she had severe facial scarring from a childhood fire. His cousin had done nothing wrong. Lily simply thought she'd attract attention in pictures. Mark said that was the point where he realized this wasn't just wedding stress. This was who she really was. He thanked me for standing up to her. About 3 weeks later, I heard through another family member that the wedding had been postponed. A month after that, it was officially canceled. Mark ended the engagement. He apparently told Lily he couldn't marry someone who judged people that way. Now, here's the part that's making me question everything. My parents insist none of this would have happened if I had just let them use the venue. They say Mark only started digging deeper because of the venue cancellation. According to them, I destroyed both the wedding and Lily's relationship. Some relatives agree. Others say the cancellation exposed problems that already existed. Emma thinks I did the right thing. She says she never wanted anyone treated differently because of a disability. Even so, I still wonder sometimes. If I'd just stayed out of it, maybe Mark would have handled things privately instead of everything exploding. Maybe the wedding would have happened. Maybe Lily would have eventually realized how hurtful she was being. Or maybe I'm giving her too much credit. So, AITA for canceling my sister's wedding venue after learning she wanted to separate disabled guests because they didn't fit the wedding aesthetic? Edit. A lot of people asked whether Lily ever apologized directly. She never did. The last text I received from her simply said, "I hope you're happy." I haven't responded. Top comments. Comment 1, NTA. You didn't ruin her wedding. You refused to let your property be used to support discrimination. Those are two very different things. Comment 2. Mark didn't leave because of the venue. He left because he discovered who he was about to marry. The venue just sped up the truth. Comment 3. The fact that your parents keep defending her instead of addressing what she actually said tells me this behavior has probably been excused her entire life. Final verdict. NTA, not the asshole. Standing up against discrimination, even when it involves family, is difficult. The consequences came from Lily's choices, not from refusing to enable them. AITA for refusing to give my parents a key to my house. After they let themselves into my apartment for years. Hey everyone. This situation has been going on for months now. Half my family thinks I'm being selfish. The other half thinks I should have done this years ago. I'm 28. My wife Sarah is 27. We bought our first house about 8 months ago after saving for nearly 5 years. It's nothing huge. 3 bedrooms, a small backyard, a quiet neighborhood. To us, though, it felt like a dream. For context, before buying the house, we lived in an apartment about 15 minutes away from my parents. When I first moved into that apartment after college, my parents asked for a spare key. They said it was only for emergencies. That sounded reasonable. So I gave them one. At first, they barely used it. Then they started dropping by without calling. Sometimes I'd come home from work and find my mom vacuuming. Other times, my dad would be sitting on the couch watching TV because he didn't feel like driving home yet. They always acted like it wasn't a big deal. I asked them several times to please call first. They always agreed. Then they'd do it again. One Saturday morning, Sarah and I were sleeping in. We heard the front door unlock. I honestly thought someone was breaking in. Instead, it was my mom. She walked into our bedroom carrying groceries. She smiled and said she wanted to surprise us with breakfast. Sarah was still asleep. She woke up terrified. After that, Sarah told me she never really felt comfortable in the apartment anymore. She always wondered if someone would unlock the door while she was home alone. I talked to my parents again. I was calm. I explained that we appreciated everything they'd done for us over the years, but we needed privacy. Mom looked offended. Dad laughed. He actually said, "We're family. As long as we're family, you don't need permission." That sentence stuck with me. Eventually, life moved on. We got engaged, then married. Then, earlier this year, we bought our house. The first week after moving in, my parents casually asked when they'd be getting their new key. I told them they weren't. At first, they laughed. Then they realized I was serious. Mom asked why. I reminded her about everything that happened at the apartment. She said that was different. I asked how. She couldn't really answer. She just kept saying, "This is what families do." I told her our home wasn't open to unannounced visits anymore. If they wanted to come over, they just had to text first. That was it. No complicated rules, just text first. Mom started crying. She said I didn't trust her. Dad got angry. He accused Sarah of putting the idea in my head. That annoyed me more than anything. This wasn't Sarah's decision. It was mine. A few weeks later, we had a family barbecue at my parents' house. Everything seemed normal until my aunt asked, "So, when are your parents getting their house key?" I looked confused. Apparently, my parents had already told everyone I refused because Sarah doesn't like the family. Sarah looked completely blindsided. I corrected the story. I explained exactly why we weren't giving anyone a key. Some relatives understood immediately. Others thought we were overreacting. One cousin actually asked, "What if there's an emergency?" I told him we have neighbors, friends, and emergency services. None of those require someone walking into our house whenever they feel like it. Things stayed awkward for a while. Then came the incident that made me realize we'd made the right decision. Sarah works from home 3 days a week. One Wednesday afternoon, someone started trying the front door over and over. Sarah checked the security camera. It was my parents. Mom looked confused. Dad looked annoyed. They stood there for almost 5 minutes before calling me. I answered. Dad immediately asked why the key wasn't working. I was silent for a second. Then I realized they'd made a copy of the apartment key years earlier. They actually thought it would unlock our new house. I asked why they were trying to get inside while we weren't home. Mom casually said, "We brought lunch." I asked why they didn't knock. She replied, "Because we expected to let ourselves in." I couldn't believe it. I told them to leave. They did. But not before Mom started crying again. That evening, my phone exploded. Apparently, my parents had told everyone I made them sit outside in the heat. They conveniently forgot to mention they were trying to enter my house without permission. Again. This time I didn't argue. I simply sent everyone the security camera footage, no audio, just video. It showed them repeatedly trying the handle, looking through the windows, walking around the house, then calling me. After people saw that, most of the messages stopped. My older brother called later that night. He admitted something I'd never known. He said our parents still had a key to his house, too. They'd been letting themselves in there for years. His wife hated it. He said seeing me finally set boundaries made him realize he didn't have to accept it either. The next weekend, he changed his locks. Our parents were furious. Now they say both of their sons have abandoned them. Mom keeps saying she doesn't even know who raised us anymore. Dad refuses to visit unless we apologize. Sarah feels guilty because she thinks she's the reason the family is falling apart. I've told her over and over that she isn't. This would have happened eventually. Still, sometimes I wonder if I should have just given them the key with strict rules instead. Maybe they would have respected them this time. Then I remember they never respected the old rules, not once. So, AITA for refusing to give my parents a key to our new house after years of them letting themselves into my apartment. Edit. A few people asked whether we'd ever considered giving a spare key to someone else. We did. Our next-door neighbor has one. She's only ever used it once. When our smoke detector started beeping while we were on vacation, she called first, exactly like a normal person. Top comments. Comment 1 NTA. People who constantly ask for a key are usually the exact people who shouldn't have one. Comment 2. The biggest red flag wasn't asking for the key, it was trying to use one they secretly copied. Comment 3. Your parents don't want emergency access, they want unrestricted access. Those are completely different things. Final verdict, NTA, not the asshole. Healthy boundaries don't mean you love your family any less. They simply mean your home is your home, not everyone else's.